Hey everyone, this is Ken Klippenstein with TYT Investigates. I'm here to talk to you about Acosta and the Epstein scandal. Alexander Acosta was Trump's labor secretary, is Trump's labor secretary, but about 10 years ago, he prosecuted the case against Jeffrey Epstein, influential billionaire who was a close friend of Trump, Clinton. This isn't a partisan thing. This is someone who's friends with all sorts of VIPs and extremely powerful people in entertainment, finance, anything you can think of. It's amazing the circle that this guy Jeffrey Epstein had. But what happened that we didn't know then, at the Jeffrey Epstein was accused and pled guilty to abusing or soliciting prostitution from an underage girl. Now, that's bad enough, but there was much more that he was accused of. He was accused of abusing dozens of young women and underage girls. Never served time for any of that, just for the one count of soliciting prostitution. What we didn't know then that we know now is that there was actually a secret agreement between Acosta. Again, that's the Trump appointee, who is then the prosecutor. There's a secret agreement between him and Epstein's lawyers to make sure that he got an agreement that was quite favorable. He ended up serving 13 months for soliciting prostitution, and this was of an underage girl. Can you imagine how much time anyone would rightly spend in prison for a crime like that? And this guy serves 13 months, a lot of it outside of a prison cell. Then he walks. What we didn't know at the time, because no one looked into it enough, bless the Miami Herald for investigating this, was that this secret agreement undercut the victim's ability to challenge the agreement, since it was, of course, secret. Um, so Epstein was not only in this agreement given personal immunity, all of his named and unnamed co-conspirators were also given immunity. That's a crazy thing to give him, you, to only get, what, 13 months in prison? That seems very fishy. And so now that we know all that, Acosta's under a lot of pressure for what looks like some kind of deal that happened. And what I want to talk to you guys about, and is really frustrating to me, is the Democrats' response to this, which is to condemn Epstein, which is the least controversial thing you can do. Nobody likes a child molester, I hope. But what she's saying, let me quote a tweet from her. She says, Secretary Acosta must step down. As U.S. attorney, he engaged in an unconscionable agreement with Jeffrey Epstein, kept secret from courageous young victims. Now, that all sounds great, but what she's not saying is what her position on not just impeaching Acosta, which is possible since he's a cabinet official, but also having impeachment investigations could do. And that's something that's well within her power. I imagine the House would have the votes for something like that. It doesn't have to pass the Senate just to do investigations. And this would provide all sorts of transparency for the public to see what the hell happened, why Acosta gave him this amazing deal. And, frankly, if Acosta's so sure that this deal was the best that they could have gotten, which is what he's been saying, he shouldn't be afraid to release the information. He shouldn't be afraid to be investigated. And so what's interesting is Mitch McConnell is essentially saying the same thing as Nancy Pelosi, condemns Epstein as, quote, horrendous, but ultimately says he's going to defer to the president on whether or not Acosta should be gotten rid of. So it's amazing. Pelosi and McConnell, the respective Republican head of the Senate and Democratic head of the House, agree that they shouldn't get rid of Acosta. And it's crazy because I can't imagine anyone in the Democratic base would oppose Pelosi if she decided that she wanted to open impeachment investigations into this guy. So you have to ask yourself, why is she doing it? Now, I'm not, suggesting any kind of wild conspiracies. I can only speculate, but this Epstein guy was connected to all sorts of powerful people. Maybe she doesn't want to upset the powerful people. Maybe she, is a bad strategist. I don't know what it is, but I think the point stands that she could be doing a lot more to provide transparency and at what would seem like low political cost. And I wish the public would know this, because when they just see her saying, "Oh, this Epstein guy is terrible. What an awful guy," it may not be apparent to them that she could be doing significantly more than that. I always get irritated when Democrats say things like, "Oh, we don't have the votes in the Senate. What's the point?" It's not about actually getting the votes and getting rid of, an official. There's so much you can do short of that. For example, what the Republicans were willing to do to Bill Clinton opening investigation with Ken Starr and all the stuff they were able to uncover with that. Well, this is a serious thing that both sides. I mean, I don't see any conservatives defending Epstein. At least I can't imagine it being an unpopular thing to open these investigations. But that's really what I want to explain to you guys. That it's more than just about this sort of posturing and um, how do you say performative, rage at Epstein when there are concrete things that Pelosi and other Congress people, not just Democrats, Republicans too, could be doing and refuse to do. Once again, that's Ken Clementine with TYT Investigates. Thanks so much for joining me, guys.